pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Glad to see Superintendent Scrooge here. It's always good to see you, sir. Okay, would you please call the roll?
Harold,
Here.
Hollenbaugh,
Here.
Jeffers,
Here.
Robinette,
Here.
Roland,
Here.
Zanfordino.
Here.
The minutes have been distributed and read. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Okay, is there any correspondence?
Yes, distributed to you prior to the meeting were two things. The financial budget summary report for the month of June 2019, and then also a listing of budget transfers to be made for the month of August, and those require your approval, please.
Is there a motion to approve the financial things? That have a
Budget
word.
transfers.
Budget transfers, thanks.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And I believe we have no special recognitions tonight. And so at this time, we are happy to hear from public for lobby visitation. Okay, do we have people signed up for this?
Yes, the first person is Phil Wohler. Is that right?
Phil, if you could come to the microphone and state your name and address, we'd appreciate that.
Phil Wohler, 318 North Church Street, just down there ways. Right here. Okay, there seems to be the issue of whether or not council should pass a bag ban. Personally, I ride a bike all over town. I mean, all over town. I go to Kroger's, I go to Myers, I go to Walmart, all those streets. I have yet to see bags laying around the places, bags rolling around on the streets. And if there's a problem at a given location, it can be dealt with by code enforcement, littering. So I think that is a much too drastic of a measure to pass the bag ordinance. And I think on top of that, it should be decided by the people and not by council, because all the people are affected, so it should be decided in a vote by the people.
Thank you, Mr. Roller. Anyone else, Kay?
Yeah, Tony Vetter from downtown BG.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tony Vetter at Downtown Bowling Green Special Improvement District, and I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to the council, the mayor, the city officials that were all involved, Brian Kraft, for all those that were involved in we had a couple requests, and they were able to take care of those for us. You guys were. One was the free parking for downtown. Thank you so much for that. The other was signage on Poe and Napoleon Road, so that visitors would know that the downtown businesses are open and that the free parking does exist. So thank you very much. I really do appreciate it, and so do all the merchants. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tony. I know that you work hard to help work these things out, and it's certainly gratifying to see some asphalt going down now, and there's hope.
That's all we have.
Thank you. Okay, it is time for the introduction of new legislation. And from the Finance Committee, I have 3 items. Ordinance amending and adopting Section 33.08 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding police division composition. An ordinance providing supplemental appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio during the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31, 2019. Ordinance certifying unpaid cost of weed mowing to the county auditor for placement on the tax duplicate.
Mr. President, I have legislation from the Public Utilities Committee, an ordinance authorizing the Utilities Director to request proposals and enter into a contract or contracts for a battery energy storage system.
Mr. President, from the Transportation and Safety Committee, we have a resolution amending and adopting changes to the procurement manual for BG Transit.
Thank you both. Okay, we have official reports from the acting mayor, Mr. Osbacher.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffers. Mayor and Mrs. Edwards are on a well-deserved vacation. I have no breaking news from the mayor's office, but I would comment, as you just did, that we were all pleased to see asphalt being installed on Main Street today. That certainly is progress towards the completion of this really important project. We're certainly grateful for the continued patience and support of all of the residents and the downtown merchants. I also wanted to express my gratitude towards those members of Not in Our Town and other community members that were responsible for coordinating the multi-faith summer breakfast that took place in the park yesterday. I was thankful for the opportunity to attend and see so many people there. It was really a great event, and it's those kind of events that really, I think, say a lot about Bowling Green and make me proud to live in this community. And with your patience, I do have a very brief statement that I would like to share, statement regarding current recent events. As you're all well aware, I have been reluctant in the past to bring to our chambers national social issues with which we have little or no legislative authority to influence outcomes. These issues, when discussed at the local level, often serve only to create division in our community. The horrific events that occurred over the weekend in El Paso and Dayton, and which are also occurring in other communities across the nation with increasing and alarming regularity, however, compel me to make a brief comment about these nonsensical acts of violence. Like you, my heart is heavy with sadness when considering the senseless loss of life in our towns and cities due to gun violence. The frequency with which these types of abhorrent attacks are occurring have come to represent a real threat to the health and safety of our citizens. This is not a partisan issue, and I do not believe that it is helpful or productive to spend our time pointing fingers or assigning blame. I believe that the time has arrived when we can reasonably expect our elected representatives in Washington, D.C. and Columbus to work together to identify and implement bipartisan, common sense, and impactful solutions to this public health emergency. I urge our locally elected representatives in Congress and the state legislature to contribute in a meaningful way to discussions aimed at safeguarding our citizens and creating safer communities across our state and country. That concludes my report, pending any questions that you may have.
I second that.
Thank you.
You said this was from the mayor, correct?
No, this is my statement.
This is your statement?
Yes, this is my statement.
Oh, thank you. Well, I really appreciate that. It needed to be said, and it's just tough times, and most of these issues are out of our hands at the local level, and we appreciate you saying that.
Thank you.
I thank you, especially for asking for the state to take part in this too. That can affect us very directly also, but I think you're very brave to do this, and I appreciate it very much.
I really don't see it as brave. Thank you, though, Sandy. I see it as a responsibility as an elected official when situations like these occur, to speak up in a way that you think is fair and meaningful, in the hopes that we can make some changes in our country, because I think we all agree that we can and we should do better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Municipal Administrator Lori Treader.
Good evening. Just a reminder that council is scheduled to meet on August 13th at 6 o'clock. At that time, we will be offering a financial and strategic update and discussing hearing council priorities ahead of the preparation of the 2020 budget, which will begin in September. That completes my report, subject to your questions.
Are there any questions for Mrs. Treader? Thank you.
Thanks.
Planning Director Heather Saylor.
Good evening. Wanted to let you know a group of us did attend the Ohio Town and Gown Summit in Kent a few weeks ago. The mayor and his wife, and Mary Hinkleman, who's in the room, she can add to my conversation. I know she gleaned a lot of information from the summit. Want to let you know the next one is July 14th through the 16th in Athens at OU, and that is during their famous Brew Week. So they're real excited to highlight their community. Should be interesting. We did have university officials at the Town Gown Summit too, which was really exciting to see them there, and I thought it was a very worthwhile trip. Also want to let you know, since Greg alluded to this earlier, we did sign, we being Lori Treader, did sign the contract with Kelfie Zoning, so we will be meeting with them next week, and they're calling this our new Gateway Zoning District to align with the council priorities to move that district forward, and we're probably looking at about a 90-day estimate on that district, so we'll see. Again, it was part of the contract, so that's what they're recommending that we look at. Also, want to give you a quick permit overview. We're at 263 permits issued so far this year compared to 231 this time last year. 20 of those are single-family housing starts compared to 23 at this time last year. So really not that much difference there. Code enforcement still alive and well. We've mowed 22 properties so far this year, and we've sent almost 110 notifications. So, it's the kind of thing you don't always notice, that we are out there doing our job and doing the best we can. And, we're definitely, if you see tall grass, we definitely are sending notices. So again, I wanted to piggyback with Mike Osbacher and thank him for attending. And I know several of you were at the summer interfaith celebration, which I think went really well for our first time. And it was just, I felt like it was just a little bit of a ray of sunshine in the really dark days that we had right before then. So really appreciate our sponsors and everybody who came out. So again, thank you so much. Any questions?
You said 90 days. That's just a piece. The contract's a longer term, is it not?
Right now, the initial priority was to get the Gateway District that council wanted us to focus on. So that is the focus first.
But the
So it's
complete
one
project.
district at a time?
The Gateway District is what they wrote for about 90 days.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
I mean, the scope of the large. There's still a larger scope, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we could discuss that on the 13th. Okay.
Thank you, Heather. Any other questions?
The next Town and Gown was, you said next July, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Next July.
thanks.
You're welcome.
Parks and Recreation Director, Mrs. Otley. City Attorney, Mike Marsh. Utilities Director, Brian O'Connell. No questions? Thank you, sir. Public Works Director, Brian Kraft. Any questions for Brian? Thank you. And now we have council committee reports.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
two things. One, we had the public hearing on ordinance 8779 this evening, and there were no issues or concerns brought forward by any member of the public. And I've also distributed to each of you a paper copy of the 15 July committee report from the Planning, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee that I promised at the last meeting. These minutes were read and approved by the other two members of the committee. Kay has a copy. I also forwarded them on yesterday to Lori. I got them. And in addition to giving her the list of our meeting report, I also forwarded a specific request to start to look at, in the event that we do move forward with a developer someday we get the zoning in place and we find a developer that wants to develop this project, we're going to have more information. We're going to need to know what it's going to take to move the city functions away from that property. So I've asked specifically to over the next course of a period of months, to be prepared to discuss with council, estimates for the cost of reestablishing the two facilities at new locations, an estimated timeline to do so, and a market value, in other words, a potential sales price of the property. All of those will eventually be important issues. All more or less what I call homework and background information, whatever decision we make down the road. an informed decision. In addition to forwarding the notes, I have also added that. And that's all I have.
Question for you on that, Lori. To do what Greg just described is probably a pretty extensive homework assignment. Would you need a consultant to be involved with that? Or is that something the staff can handle internally?
We really just received it yesterday, so we haven't had a chance to analyze that as of yet. But I think it's part of the long-term planning process. Of course, the gateway zoning being the first step in that, but running parallel, as you said, you don't want to be caught that it's at the end that you haven't done your background and homework. So we'll start to parse out what we need to do to accomplish that request.
Great, thanks.
And all as it goes, I threw out a period of 6 to 10 months as the starting point for discussion. I realize it takes some time.
But
And
makes
it's estimates. We all get that. We're not going to have firm answers.
Right. But to run in parallel so that it's not waiting until the end and that's a delay. Makes sense, yes.
Good. Okay, any other reports? Okay. It is time for the reading of legislation.
Legislation for first reading. Resolution number 3738 for first reading. Resolution amending and adopting changes to the procurement manual for the BG Transit. Ordinance number 8786 for first reading. Ordinance providing supplemental appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio during the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31, 2019.
I move that we suspend the rules and give ordinance 8786 its second and third readings.
Second?
Okay, that's been properly moved and seconded. Would you give ordinance 8786 its second and third reading?
I got to call the roll first.
Thank you.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Jeffers,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Roland,
Yes.
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
Now you can give it its second and third readings.
Ordinance number 8786 for second and third reading. Ordinance providing supplemental appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio during the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31, 2019.
I move that we adopt ordinance 8786.
Second?
Okay, would you please call the roll?
Jeffers,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Roland,
Yes.
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh.
Yes.
Ordinance 8786 has been approved and adopted. Okay, thank you.
Ordinance number 8787 for first reading. Ordinance certifying unpaid cost of weed mowing to the county auditor for placement on the tax duplicate. Ordinance number 8788 for first reading. Ordinance amending and adopting section 33.08 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding police division composition. Ordinance number 8789 for first reading. Ordinance authorizing the utilities director to request proposals and enter into a contract or contracts for a battery energy storage system. Legislation for second reading. Ordinance number 8785 for second reading. Ordinance creating and adopting Chapter 121 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio, prohibiting single-use carry-out thin plastic bags and amending Section 35.70 regarding city fees and fees charged for services. There is no legislation for third reading, and ordinance number 8779 comes off of the table automatically.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette,
I move that we adopt ordinance 8779.
second.
Second?
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, would you please call the roll?
Robinette,
Yes.
Roland,
Yes.
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Jeffers.
Yes. Motion carried. Ordinance 8779 is adopted. Is there any other business to come before council this evening?
I would like to forgive Councilmember Osbacher for being mayor this evening.
All those in favor?
Dies for lack of a second.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Oh,
No, we need a
to vote.
motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned.